Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Abdul Rahman. Welcome to my YouTube channel Islamic and GK vlog. Now I am going to talk to you about Machu Picchu, site of ancient Inca ruins located about 50 miles northwest of Cusco, Peru, in the Cordillera de Vilcabamba of the Andes mountains. It is perched above the Urubamba River Valley in a narrow saddle between two sharp peaks, Machu Picchu and Huayna Picchu, at an elevation of 7,710 feet. One of the few major pre-Columbian ruins found nearly intact. Machu Picchu was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1983. Although the site escaped detection by the Spaniards, it may have been visited by the German adventurer Augusto Benz in 1867. However, Machu Picchu's existence was not widely known in the West until it was discovered in 1911 by the Yale University professor Hiram Bingham, who was led to the site by the Melchor Ortega, a local Quechua-speaking resident. Bingham had been seeking Vilcabamba, the lost city of the Incas, from which the last Inca rulers led a rebellion against Spanish rule until 1572. He cited evidence from his 1912 excavations at Machu Picchu, which were sponsored by Yale University and the National Geographic Society, in his labeling of the site as Vilcabamba. However, that interpretation is no longer widely accepted. Nevertheless, many sources still follow Bingham's precedent and erroneously label Machu Picchu as the lost city of the Incas. Evidence later associated Vilcabamba with another ruin, Espiritu Bomba, which was also discovered by Bingham in 1964. Espiritu Bomba was extensively excavated under the direction of the American explorer Jean Savoy. The site was much deteriorated and overgrown with forest, but Savoy uncovered remains there of some 300 Inca houses and 50 or more other buildings, as well as extensive terraces, proving that Espiritu Bomba was a much larger settlement. Machu Picchu was further excavated in 1915 by Bingham, in 1934 by the Peruvian archaeologist Luis E. Valcarcel, and in 1940-41 by Paul Fejos. Additional discoveries throughout the Cordillera de Vilcabamba have shown that Machu Picchu was one of a series of pucaras, temples, and signal towers along the extensive Inca food highway. The dwellings at Machu Picchu were probably built and occupied from the mid-15th to the earlier mid-16th century. Machu Picchu's construction style and other evidence suggested that it was a palace complex of the ruler Pachacuti Inca Yupanqui, reigned 1438 to 71. Several dozen skeletons were excavated there in 1912, and because most of those were initially identified as female, Bingham suggested that Machu Picchu was a sanctuary for the Virgins of the Sun, an elite Inca group technology at the turn of the 21st century. However, identified a significant proportion of males and a great diversity in physical types, both skeletal and material remains now suggest to scholars that Machu Picchu served as a royal retreat. The reason for the site's abandonment is also unknown, but a lack of water may have been a factor. The high level of preservation and the general layout of the ruin are remarkable. Its southern, eastern, and western portions are surrounded by dozens of stepped agricultural terraces formerly watered by an adequate system. Some of those terraces were still being used by local Indians when Bingham arrived in 1911. Walkways and thousands of steps consisting of stone blocks as well as footholds carved into underlying rock connect the plazas, the residential areas, the terraces, the cemetery, and the major buildings. The main plaza partly divided by wide terraces, is at the north central end of the site. At the southeastern end is the only formal entrance which leads to the Inca Trail. Few to Machu Picchu's white granite structures have stonework as highly refined as that found in Cusco, but several are worthy of note. In the southern part of the ruin is the sacred rocks, also known as the Temple of the Sun. It was called the Mausoleum by Bingham. It centers on an inclined rock mass with a small grotto. Walls of cut stone fill in some of its irregular features. Rising above the rock is the horseshoe-shaped enclosure known as the military tower. In the western part of Machu Picchu is the temple district, also known as the Acropolis. The Temple of the Three Windows is a hall 35 feet long and 14 feet wide with three trapezoidal windows, the largest known in Inca architecture. On one wall, which is built by polygonal stones, it stands near the southwestern corner of the main plaza. Also near the main plaza is the Indi Huaytana, a uniquely preserved ceremonial sundial consisting of a wide pillar and a pedestal that were carved as a single unit and stand 6 feet tall. In 2000, this feature was damaged during the filming of a beer commercial. The Princess Palace is a B-level structure of highly crafted stonework that probably housed a member of the Inca nobility. The Palace of the Inca is a complex of rooms with niched walls and a courtyard. At the other end of Machu Picchu, another path leads to the famous Inca Bridge, a rope structure that crosses the Urubamba River. Many other ruined cities like that adopt the dark peak of Huayna Picchu, which is accessible by a lengthy precipitous stairway and trail were built in the region. Machu Picchu is only the most extensively excavated of these. Machu Picchu is the most economically important tourist attraction in Peru, bringing in visitors from around the world. For this reason, the Peruvian government wishes to repatriate the materials taken by Bingham to Yale. The ruins are commonly reached in a day trip from Cusco by first taking a narrow gauge railway and then ascending nearly 1640 feet from the Urubamba River valley on a serpentine road. Smaller numbers of visitors arrive by hiking the Inca Trail. The portion of the trail from the 80-kilometer train stop to Machu Picchu is normally hiked in 3 to 6 days. It is composed of several thousand stone-cut steps, numerous high retaining walls, tunnels, and other feats of classical engineering. The route traverses a wide range of elevations between about 8,530 and 13,780 feet, and it is lined with Inca ruins of various types and sizes. At Machu Picchu, there is a hotel with a restaurant and thermal baths. Or the nearby village of Aquas Calientes. The Inca Bridge and other parts of Machu Picchu were damaged by a forest fire in August 1997, but restoration was begun immediately afterward. Concern for the damage caused by tourism was heightened by discussion of the building of a cable car link to the site. Hiram Bingham, born November 19, 1875, Honolulu, Hawaii, died June 6, 1956, Washington, D.C., U.S., was an American archaeologist and politician who in 1911 initiated the scientific study of Machu Picchu, an ancient Inca site in a remote part of the Peruvian Andes. Bingham may have been preceded by the German adventurer Augusto Benz, who some scholars believe visited the site in 1867. Whether or not he was preceded by Benz, however, Bingham and his work were the key catalysts for the archaeological investigation of sites in the Andes and other parts of South America. As a boy, Bingham learned mountaineering from his father, a well-known Pacific missionary. This skill vastly aided his Inca research. Is 1906, seeking to enhance his ability to teach Latin American history. He traveled the Andean route taken in 1819 by Simon Bolivar from Venezuela to Colombia in 1980. He followed the old Spanish trade route through the Andes from Buenos Aires, Argentina to Lima, Peru. Bingham was a member of the history faculty at Yale University from 1909 until 1924. In July 1911, he directed a Yale archaeological expedition whose main objective was to find Vilcabamba, which was the lost city of the Incas, the secret mountain stronghold used during the 16th century rebellion against Spanish rule. Prospects for locating it were poor. Not even the Spanish conquistadors had discovered it. Clues from early chronicles of the Incas were scanty. It was believed to be situated somewhere near Cusco, Peru, where the problems of crossing the Andes were formidable. The expedition owed its success largely to Bingham's steadfastness and courage. He visited several Inca sites, sometimes risking his life to do so. After arriving in Cusco, Bingham was urged by the prefect of Apurimac, J.J. Nunes, to search the vicinity of the Uribamba River Valley for the fabled ruins of Choquequira. The Bingham suspected the site might be Vilcabamba. On July 24, Bingham was led by a Quechua-speaking resident, Milcar Ortega, to the ruins of Machu Picchu. There he found well-preserved stonework remains and was particularly struck by the similarity of one of the structures to the Temple of the Sun at Cusco. In 1912, Bingham led the expedition that excavated Machu Picchu and he returned there in 1915. He became convinced that Machu Picchu was Vilcabamba, and it was since until the mid-20th century that his claim was seriously disputed. Bingham's additional work in the region revealed the important sites of Vitcas and Espiritu Bomba, a larger ruin that was thoroughly excavated in 1964 by the American archaeologist Jean Savoy, who demonstrated it to be a more likely site for Vilcabamba. Bingham's publications on South America include Inca Land 1922, Machu Picchu, a citadel of the Incas 1930, and Lost City of the Incas 1948. Bingham entered politics and was elected Lieutenant Governor of Connecticut 1922 to 24. After winning the governorship in 1924, he almost immediately resigned to fill a vacancy in the U.S. Senate. He was re-elected to a full term in 1926, after which he devoted himself to business interests. In 1951, he was appointed to the Civil Service Loyalty Review Board by President Harry S. Truman and helped investigate controversial cases of suspected subversion in the State Department. Thanks for watching. Assalamu alaikum.